Hey everybody, welcome to Radio Big, talking about why Valve missed the mark on Underlords. Now, this was a much anticipated game in that era where everyone and their mother was playing auto chess. It was a huge thing. It all started from the Dota 2 client by one Chinese fan who decided to make a mod. It was an auto chess style, as we now call it, and it took off in an unbelievable way. This mod got friends that I have that never played Dota to now have over 100 hours in Dota 2 just from Underlords alone. That's all they cared. Not Underlords, it was called Auto Chess. Just from Auto Chess was all they cared about, and it was unbelievably fun. So, of course, Valve owned the property to Dota and all that. They said, we can make a game with this. We can make money with this. It should have been brilliant. It should have worked. It should have been a lot of fun, and it should be making as much money as League's TFT is today. Why isn't it? Well, first let's start off with how bad is it doing? Well, if you look at the Steam charts, this game started when it first opened up a year ago, over a year ago, in fact, with 76,000 people. That's a great starting point. That's a really good starting point. So 76,000 people, they got out of the gate fucking strong. A lot of people wanted to play this game. So then by their second month, they were down to 60. By their third, 36,000. We are now sitting at 5,000 players for the game. That is an unbelievably bad curve. If you look at the statistics, they're nothing but negative. They are only two positive gain months in the entire history of this game. And that's February and March of 2020 due to the lockdowns within countries that increased every single game statistics. If you look at games, those months increased every game statistics. So that part's not surprising. Nobody had a job. Everyone wanted something to do. And then immediately after March, it fell again before lockdowns had even ended. Let's look at CSGO. CSGO started with 15,000 on its first month. Now, by the time a year had come around for CSGO, it had gone from 15,000 to 25,000. That's not much of an increase, but the thing is, that is still growth. And from there, it grew very quickly. 2 years later, it's over 100,000. It now sits with around 400,000 at least for the last year, which is unbelievable compared to a game like Underlords. I mean, if you look at the chart for growth, it goes up. It's just a constant upflow chart because this game did well. It knew what it wanted to do, and it pushed to do it. The graph for Underlords, on the other hand, is nothing but a downward trend. So, let's look at how this happened. Now look, I want to qualify this by saying I don't think Underlords is inherently a bad game. In fact, I think it's got a lot of potential to be a great game, or the best auto chess game. For God's sakes, I have over 300 hours in Underlords. But the thing is it even as good as the client version? No, I don't think it is. And why is that? Because it misses a lot of the steps. I mean, there's a single hero in the client version called Mars. He changes the way the game is played because you're not allowed to have any other sets other than him, basically. There's nothing like that that really changes the game in Underlords. And the funny part is, Mars existed before Underlords came out. They could have completely just ripped him off and moved him over, like they did with the vast, vast majority of the other characters that they had at the auto chess already. At the time of this recording, 1 year into Underlord's life cycle, there are currently 63 heroes in the game. 55 of those heroes were taken directly from the original auto chess. Now, maybe they've been changed in some small way or another between now and then. The thing is, they are more or less the same hero. 8 heroes have been changed in a year. That is the least amount of gameplay change I've ever heard from in a video game. CSGO has changed more than that. And for God's sake, CSGO is a shooter. It does not need variants in the same way that a game like Auto Chess does, because the gameplay itself holds up. A puzzle game or a strategy game or a little fun side game like an Auto Chess needs variation. It needs something to keep it fresh and moving so that you don't feel like you're doing the same thing every time. For a reference, TFT, if you have not played it, by League of Legends or by Riot Games, is on its third entirely new set. What this means is that every single hero in TFT was removed and then replaced with new sets, new types, new abilities. Sure, the characters are the same, but they have new abilities and new typings 3 times now. And TFT came out after Underlords. So Underlords has fallen into this spiral of why would I play this? I played it a year ago and nothing is different. I know exactly what's going to happen. I know exactly what my sets do. I know exactly what my characters do if you're an old fan. So it's just the same game. There's no reason. There's nothing keeping me wanting to play more because I just see the same thing every day for a year. You can't hold on to people like that. You have to innovate with the times. And this game completely failed to do that. This game dropped the ball entirely in that section, and it's basically unforgivable in a sense of game direction and game creation and creativity. You can't rely on, well, we thought this was a good idea, so we're just going to let it play itself out for a year. Now, this sounds very similar to Valve's mentality towards Artifact, one of the most unbelievable bombs in gaming history of the modern era. This Artifact, if you don't know, was a game also by Valve that they put out. People had a lot of backlash for, and instead of changing the game, they let it sit for about 6 months to a year, and then just completely closed the game entirely instead of making any changes. So they wasted a lot of people's money, a lot of people's time, and a lot of their employees' time, and didn't have any faith in it. Underlords feels exactly the same way. It feels like there was never any faith that this game could go anywhere, so they didn't feel like putting any resources behind it. They didn't feel like putting anyone towards it on direction. And there's even a fantastic example of this today. I'm currently speaking in August of 2020. Coming up, they're adding a total of 8 new heroes. Yeah, they're doubling how many new heroes they're adding, which is still unbelievably pathetic compared to a game like TFT. But let's see their reasoning. They have said here, as you may have noticed, Underlords updates have been coming in slower as of late. There are a bunch of reasons for this. Some of them are internal. Many of us have been helping other recent Valve projects ship. Some of them are external. 2020, everybody. This is the utmost pinnacle of Valve did not have faith that Underlords could go anywhere. Therefore, we don't even have the main team working on it. They put this game on such a back burner that it feels like an afterthought. It doesn't even feel like this is a game anymore. You can compare this so easily to League of Legends TFT patch notes. Every week, patch notes come out, and these patch notes are fairly extensive. They changed the way the game is played. They changed a lot of the meta in order to make sure it feels fresh, it feels interesting, and they add new creative things every single week. They add new customization characters so that you can have a little more fun with how you play the game and feel unique. They add new characters, they add new styles, and they add new gameplay elements in a broad picture. This is such a gap between two games that it doesn't even feel like you're talking about the same style. It feels like you're talking about an indie company versus some large mega corporation, but this is Valve versus Riot, two of the largest names in video gaming. Both of these companies have multi-millions behind them. Hell, I would almost venture to say that Valve has billions behind them. And they couldn't put faith in a game that they created. Hell, a game they didn't even create, a game they stole. They didn't have the energy to take a game they stole and make it more interesting. They just wanted it as is, ship it, it's done. It feels lazy, and it feels basically pathetic, in a word. Now, I'm harping on this a lot because that is why this game is bad. This game doesn't suffer in too many ways of gameplay. Sure, there are glitches and there are problems. I'll get into a couple of those because there are a couple of them that are big. But at the end of the day, as far as an auto chess goes, if you were just playing this one in a vacuum, it's very fun and it's enjoyable for about a week, which is not good enough. This game has a lot that it does right. When you're going through the shop, it's very easy to see characters you already have, types that you're already building, so that you can quickly, in a panic, buy them and continue shuffling around. Put units on the board so that you have too many units to buy more in prayers that you're going to get that, star level up so that you could try and muscle in as much value as you can. There's a lot of gameplay to that. There's a lot of creativity to that, and there's a lot of risk to that, and that feels fun. That feels enjoyable, and that's great gameplay. The problem is, a lot of that itself was taken from the original. The idea of putting up a unit set you have too many, and then trying to buy more to try and get a star combination in order to get, the maximum amount of value, as I call it, carouseling. Now, the UI is much cleaner in Underlords. The UI is beautiful, and as I said, buying units you already have is extremely easy. That's fantastic, and I think that was a great move towards making a game. The problem is something like that feels like it's step one. That's not the be all end all of a game at all. This game has two big things that I would say TFT is completely missing. A duos mode is key. Duos is a fun dynamic where me and my friends can play together and we're combining styles, we're combining how we're trying to play, we're thinking about how to maximize value, and there's even a ranked mode for it, which is unbelievably smart. That was a great play on the part of the Underlords team, and I'm glad they did. They also have a quicker mode called Knockout. It's a little more wacky, it's a little more unstable, but that's a quick way to play, and it's fun. It's enjoyable. I like it. They even put ranked behind that, a completely meta-busting style, which is of course not going to be completely balanced. But if you've ever played a game that has a casual and ranked setting, you'll know that even in casual, many people do play the meta style, the strongest deck, the strongest team, the strongest characters. So putting ranked on something like that is not a big deal, and all it does is add a layer of fun, in my opinion. I like ranked. I like to see little numbers go up when I win or lose. It just adds that little bit to feel like I'm trying. Both of those make Underlords the baseline of a great game. And as I said, there's so much here that could have been done. Like League uses skins to say that it's a different version of the character, or sometimes they don't even, and all they do is say that old stuff is out, this is the new version of it. Why could Underlords not do that? And once again, this comes back to it feels like they just didn't put the faith on it, and therefore they didn't put people on it to try and create something unique. And it's just lazy. It's just completely lazy, and there's nothing that you could really say to defend Underlords in that sense. Now, of course, there are even the glitches. Now, when this came out, it was unbelievably glitchy. It crashed a lot. There were a lot of huge glitches. Your screen would bug up, and that's old. So is it better now? Well, it still crashes sometimes. It's still glitchy. Your abilities hide behind the buy or sell options. You can't see what abilities do in the middle of a round. It's got a lot of problems, and the problem is, these were here when it came out a year ago. These are the same bugs. They haven't even cared to fix them. It's so lazy. It's so unbelievably lazy. That's why this game failed. It's nothing wrong with the game itself. It's nothing wrong with the concept being a fad. It's the fact that they didn't give a shit. And that's the saddest part, is seeing this great opportunity go to waste because the people behind it didn't want to put faith in it. And I don't know why that is. Maybe because they didn't like how the person who started the concept treated it, how they used their own property and became big. I don't know what the reason is behind it. All I know is they lost a lot of money because they didn't care. And I hate to see that. I think that's all I need to say. Damn shame.